Alright, welcome to Name That Blank. So, on today's game show, we are going to name parts of points and line segments. Woo! Okay, so first off, how you name a point is with a capital letter, A, or any letter you want. So you could say A, X, B, etc. So that's how you name a point. If you name multiple ones, you put commas in between. For a line segment, let me go ahead and draw a picture. This is AB. So you could name that line segment with two letters. So AB with a line over it, notice no endpoints. Or you could have said BA with a little line segment thing over it, no endpoints. Okay? For a line, for example, I should have put arrows. Alright, so there's a line, a very poorly drawn line. So you could say line AB. And this time you do put a little line with arrows over it. Or you could reverse the order and say BA with a line symbol underneath it. So you name lines and line segments with two letters with symbols over top. Array. So we could say AB. Now there's only one way to name this array, and you have to start with the starting point, or the vertex, and then it is going that direction. So that's how you name an array. Two letters with the array symbol over it, and you've got to start with the letter A because you start with the vertex. If I had an array that looked like this, for example, you would still say B, start with B because that's your vertex, and then it went to A with an arrow mark. So they kind of flip it around so that the arrow always goes left to right when you name it. A plane. I'm going to skip that one and go to opposite ray actually. So I'm going to draw an opposite ray, which is very similar to a line. So an opposite ray, this is one of the rays, so let me name that and say AB. And you would say is opposite to. And then I need to name the other ray, which is this one. So it's opposite to AC. Okay? So just got to name two of the rays. Alright, lastly a plane. I'm going to go ahead and draw a plane, not in the sky. So here's a plane. We're going to pick some letters. I'm actually going to draw a line on the plane. A, B, C, D, and then a little R. Okay, so if this is a plane, the most common mistake is saying plane ABC. So you do name it with three letters, and they have to be non-collinear points. So you use the word plane. So you say plane. So you can say A and B, and then you have to jump to a point that is not on that line. So D, for example. Notice R does not have a point, so R is technically not a point. You can also name it with one letter. If it's in the corner, it's probably going to be in cursive. So you can also say plain R. Now, typically they may have a letter in the corner, sometimes they don't. So you're always safe with going with three letters that are coplanar but not collinear. So for example, I could also say plane, I could say CB, and then I do need to jump over to point D. Okay? You could say plane B and then A, but we do have to include point D. Alright? If we put another point on there, for example E, if we had lots of points to choose from, you get to pick your favorite four letters. So I could say plain, or three letters, sorry. You could say plain E, D, and then you could pick between A, B, and C. Doesn't matter. Okay? So that's how you name a plane. You do have to use the word plane lots of times if they want you to name it multiple times. Alright, so let's jump to some practice. So I want you to name 3 points, 3 lines, name the plane 3 different ways. And then I also want you to name 3 line segments, 3 rays, and 2 sets of opposite rays. So try 6 problems, press pause, and then we will go over the answers. Some answers. When you name points, remember separate them with commas. I gave you as many as I could. Just make sure you did not use R because R is not a point. When you name 3 lines, notice I did not use the letter F. So the best way to name a line is the 2 farthest points on those lines. You kind of can skip over points in the middle. So I said ED would be a good way to name this line, skipping over point F. CB or BC, order doesn't matter. And then you could have said AF or FA to name the point going up and down. Notice this part right here means that that line went through the plane. So for example, if you think of a piece of paper and then you put a pencil through the middle of it, that's what FA would be. You would be cutting through the plane, piercing through the plane. So the dotted line means you can't see it because in real life you couldn't see it, that part of it, if you're looking from the top. When you name the plane 3 different ways, you could have said plane R, remember that upper letter in the corner. Then you could have picked 3 points not on the same line. So you could have said CF and then said E, or you could have said CF and CF and D. Then you could have also said DF and B, or DF and C. Just make sure you did not use A, because it's not on the plane. Make sure you didn't use R with the 3 letters because it's not a point. And then make sure you didn't say C, F, and B in any order, or E, F, and D in any order because they're on the same line. All right? When you name 3 line segments, I looked at these 3 down here, or the 4 little ones, and then I also looked at the one going up and down. So EF, FE, order doesn't matter, CF, FC, FB, BF, FD, DF, or AF or FA. You could have also said ED, because that's a line segment. You could have also said CB, that's also a line segment. When you name a ray, you do have to start at a vertex, so I started all of mine off at F to be pretty easy. So I named each of the rays going in opposite directions and going up and down. Name 2 sets of opposite rays. The only 2 were FC and FB, and then FE and FD, because they made up the lines. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. With rays, you also could have had, for example, like CF, because technically it is going on forever and ever and ever. So you could have said EF or ED, for example, because they are going on forever and ever. But the best ray would be to start with some point in the middle. All right, in the figure below, name 3 points that are collinear and 3 points that are non-collinear or not collinear. So, for example, collinear, you need 3 points on the same line. Here's a line, so I have D, A, and H. Here's another line, so I have NAB. Another line would be M, D, and C. Then another line would be ACE. So those are all points on the same line. Now, when you look at not collinear, I don't want them to be on the same line. So you could go super out there and say D, B, and E, because they are nowhere near each other, and they're all a part of separate lines. Or you could say 2 points that are on the same line and 1 point that's not. So for example, D and A are on the same line so far, then you could jump over here to B. Let's do the dab. All right, stand up and do the dab. Okay. So when you're naming non-collinear points, just give me 3 points that are not in the same line. 2 of them can be, but 1 of them cannot be. All right, name 3 sets of coplanar points. Said to be on the same plane. For example, oh wait, I don't need to write plane because I want points. So E is on the same plane as F and B. So those are all 3 on the same plane. Could have also said C, D, and B. They're all on the same plane, as well as B, F, E. Just make sure you don't use A or R, because R is not a point and A is not on the plane. Alright, lastly, we've got a cube now. So how many planes are there on the cube? Shade the plane that contains point B, C, and F. What's another point that's coplanar with D, C, and A? Name the front plane 2 different ways, and name the left side of the cube 2 different ways. So I want you to try these on your own. Give it your best shot, and then press pause and we'll go over them. Talking about a cube, when it asks how many planes there are, it's asking how many sides there are. So you have a bottom, you have a top, you have a left, you have a right, and you have a front, and you have a back. So there are 6 parts of a cube, so 6 planes. Shading the plane that contains B, C, and F. So here's B, here is C, and here is F. And so the 4th point would be G, and so that's going to make up the right side of the box. Okay, notice when you name a plane, you're always going to have 1 letter left out, because we only need 3 points. What's another point that is coplanar with plane D, C, and A? So D is in the bottom, C is in the bottom, A is in the bottom. So the other point on the bottom would be D, or B, sorry. Name the front plane 2 different ways. So let me go ahead and erase this to help us out. Tons of ways to name the front plane. You have E, F, B, and A to pick from in any order you want, and you could only have to pick 3. So you could have said F, E, A and gone in order. You could have said A, B, and F and gone in order. You can also jump around, and so you could say E and then jump to B and then jump to A. So you could almost do like a little triangle. But as long as you pick the 4th point, you should be good. Name the left side of the cube 2 different ways. Again, the left side contains H, E, A, and D. So in any order, make sure you use H, E, A, or D letters and no other. So you could have said H, E, D, E, A, D, E, D, A, D, A, E, etc. Okay? So let me know if you want to make sure your correct definition of a plane would be right. Otherwise, we're moving on. So I want you to try this whole page on your own. And then we're going to go over the answers. So I'm going to pop them up and we'll review them. So try 1 through 8 and then 36 through 40. Press pause. Here are some answers. I'm going to go through them. 2 segments shown in the figure. You have NA, you have NX, NM, NR, and C, etc. in any order. So lots of line segments. Again, if you understand this, you can totally skip over my explanations. Intersection of CM and RN. So here's line CM. Here's RN piercing the plane, a pencil going through it, and they're going to intersect at point N. 3 collinear points. Could have said A and X in any order, or C, N, and M in any order. 2 ways to name plane V. There's a ton of them. Just pick 3 points that are not on the same line. So you cannot have A, N, and X in any order, and you cannot have C, N, and M in any order. Could have C, A, M, N, M, X, C, M, X, etc. Are points R, N, M, and X coplanar? No. Even though it looks like R is on the plane, it's in mid-air going through the plane. So R is not on the plane, and if you need a better explanation of that, I can come shove a pencil through a piece of paper and show you. 2 rays shown. Could have had NA, and M, and X, and C, etc. I like to use letter N because it's in the middle. Name a pair of opposite rays with endpoint N. So you could have said NA and NX, or NC and NN. Then how many lines are in the drawing? We got 1 here, 2 here, and then 3. So there are 3 lines. Last one. Name a line containing point A. Could have said AF or FA. A ray passing through B. So you could have said FB. Or you could have even said CB. 2 points collinear with point D. Could have said F and E. They're on the same line. 2 points coplanar with B. You had lots of points to pick from, but I said F and E. Could have said C and D in any order. And then name a plane containing points C, B, and E. So easy way would be say planar, Or you could pick 3 points that are on the same plane but not the same line. So you could have said plane CBE, plane CEB, CED, CFE, etc. Just don't use A or R in the 3 letters, okay? So that's how you name all kinds of fun things. Woo! Thanks for watching.